To put my stock exchange and get people to trade in Hindi, I could not do it 20 years back, but today it's possible. You could actually transact in any language you want. Okay, so that is very important. So language would not be a barrier anymore. Okay, and everything will work on the back end in the cloud. Okay, so why is rural India so important and the cloud so important for rural India? 69% of our population is in rural India, not in urban India, and 86% of the rural population earns less than $2 by day. So we need to take technology to rural. Many companies, there's a company known as Rural Shores, I was talking with your board of governors last night, they are taken into rural BPOs. Or actually all KPOs, BPOs will move into rural India finally. Because that is where they need the jobs. Why should they come to Pune and all this traffic and congestion of Mumbai, hang out of trains? It could be where they are, right? And there are more phones than radio in rural India today, so they have connectivity because everybody knows you can connect to your phone to the internet also today. And fortunately, the internet and the communication costs will go down. So it will become affordable to connect to the cloud. All you need is the connectivity. Okay, again the drivers will be, you have a rural population of 568 million. The rural literate population is 368 million, which you can usefully employ for your business at 1/10 of the cost what you would pay in Mumbai, and that person will be very happy to work for you at that cost. Okay. You have also a rural English-speaking population of 63 million people who can be tapped. You have rural computer-literate people of 15.1 million. Rural claimed internet users 5. So it's all there already. Rural is not so lost as you and I think it is. Okay. The only thing is, I think we all suffer from myopia. We don't look beyond our city boundaries. Okay. And why is the cloud again? It's all about economics. Okay, it is faster, economical, cheaper. See, finally money would be the final deciding factor to use any technology, and the cloud makes that very, very easy. Okay, the cost savings depend again. The use of cloud computing has reduced costs from 50 to 90%. This is CTO of Washington DC, just like a Pune mayor. Washington DC is the state capital of US. It's also got a own government debt. He has reduced claims 50 to 90% cost. Right? Alchemy says 28% cost savings. Preferred hotel, traditional $210K per server refresh, $10K per month. Cloud is just $10K implementation and $16K per month. So let's imagine the cost. What you can clearly see the numbers here. You could convert it to rupees too. Same thing would apply to India. India is no cheaper. One of the biggest drivers of cloud computing in India would be Microsoft. They have launched what is known as Azure. I'll quickly share a few slides. This is what Azure looks like. It is a globally distributed cloud. You can see where their centers are. They have 4 main centers in US. They have 2 main centers in Europe. They have one here in Singapore, somewhere here, right? And then they have secondary data centers here. So you can imagine how they are distributed right across the world. Even if this goes down, these will still continue computing for you. If the whole of America goes down, then it will move to Europe. The whole of Europe goes down, it will come to Asia, and this is how it is distributed. This is a global infrastructure. We can do the same in India too. We can have one in Nagpur for Maharashtra. We can have one in Pune, one in somewhere else. In the third place, maybe Aurangabad, and you have 3 centers, and you could build a state government cloud too. Okay. So Microsoft will give all the services in the cloud, and that's why I've taken this sample, no bias towards Microsoft. Okay, they'll give you application service, they'll give you software as a service, they'll give you a platform, they'll give you the infrastructure as a service, right? For application, they give, or many of you may be using Bing, which is a service engine, Windows Live, Office Live, all this is Xbox Live, which is discontinued now in the new Xbox. Then you could also use Exchange, SharePoint. SharePoint is one of the most powerful knowledge management portals in corporates. That you can get it on the cloud, no, you don't have to buy the license, okay? Office communications. Again, you can get a ERP for SME here, Microsoft Dynamics CRM Online. So you don't go and buy the ERP, you just rent the ERP and run your business on that, okay? You'll also get platform services. You can use SQL Azure, .NET, Live, Windows Azure, all this, whichever. If you want to build, you get the platform for yourself, okay? So this is what Microsoft is offering, the whole stretch of the cloud, and they're very aggressive. The whole Microsoft team in India has been overhauled. They have now got people who are going to push this as a commodity, right? So the whole way of selling also has changed, right? They want to be selling services now, okay? And you could choose what you want from Microsoft. What are the challenges of cloud computing? One of the biggest challenges of cloud computing is security. Everybody says, how can I keep my jewelry away, right? I have to keep it in my house cupboard so that it gets robbed, right? It's very secure in my house. Or But I think more sane people will get a bank locker and go and put it in the bank locker. So using the cloud is putting all your data in a bank locker. And actually, why would you put it in a bank locker? Because the bank will keep it more secure than what you could secure your own home, right? But there is a huge mental block saying, how can my data go into the cloud? There are privacy issues, there are legal issues, all of them are being surmounted, okay? Because this technology is so disruptive, the rest of the social parameters have to keep in sync, okay? So I will only address the security issue, okay? The performance has been overcome, availability, all these issues have been overcome. Actually, last week I was in Bangalore talking to one of the largest hospitals in India, and I was trying to tell them to put their whole hospital application like in the cloud. They were still not convinced. I'm still trying to convince them because it's a mental change. They said, what happens if the patient comes and the computer doesn't work, the cloud infrastructure, the network doesn't work? I said everything works because, banks have been doing it for years here, exchanges have been doing it, so the hospital also can do it because the transaction cost will come down by about 60% if they put it on the cloud. Hopefully I will be able to enlighten them, but I think the future is there, right? It will happen. Healthcare, ESI is one of cloud. The second one I think is Max Fortis, who have put all their applications on the cloud for their hospitals, okay? Security in the cloud, the three cornerstones of security, confidentiality, integrity and availability, all three are there. There is this Cloud Security Alliance, which is an organization which I told you about earlier. We have an India chapter, Mumbai chapter, and now they're going to have an exam in July where people will be certified to come and audit your cloud and certify that the cloud is secure. Okay, so this is going ahead. Okay, and the security controls as what you do for any other data center actually more stringent because there's a contractual law of delivery and all that we do because of a customer. So you're a consumer finally, so you're also protected by the consumer code. Okay. But the biggest challenge is that second point in this. You have to gracefully lose control while maintaining accountability. So when you go to the cloud, you actually lose a lot of control on how you do things. You don't do your backup anymore. You don't run your data center anymore. You don't start your servers anymore. And you don't see anything anymore other than your monitor. So that mind share of gracefully losing control is one of the biggest challenges for cloud computing to take traction. But finally the cost will drive it there. Okay? We have talked about this. The CSA guidance, the cloud security have 13 pieces for guidance. First is they talk about the cloud architecture. Then they talk about governance in the cloud. They talked about governance and risk management. All this legal and electronic discovery, compliance and audit, information, portability, all these fundamentals of any IT governance is covered in the cloud security architecture. And people certify. Actually, in my mind, you are more secure putting your data in the cloud than you do in your own data center. That mindset has to change. So, if you do a SaaS model like Salesforce, you are most comfortable as far as security is concerned. If you do a platform, your security risk increases because now you are responsible for the security and not the vendor. That is why it's not the vendor's problem, it's your problem. And when you do infrastructure and build something on it, the security risk still increases because all the security and skills come to you. The most secure way is using software as a service. Okay? There are 7 top threats about cloud computing, which each one is being attacked and mapped. There are people working on it 24/7. Okay? This is abuse. Guess who is the biggest user of cloud computing? Can you guess? Anybody guess? The biggest user of cloud computing today is those who are doing unethical things. Okay? The biggest user of cloud computing, they have adopted it like fish to water. Software piracy, phishing mail, whatever, they all are doing it on the cloud. Okay? Developing crack code, all that is on the cloud. Those guys have taken to the cloud much faster than the business because they don't have governance issues or worry about that, right? And 60% of this underground is all driven on the cloud. Okay? It's very, very interesting observation. And there is some team who are going and mapping that too. Okay? So back to today's theme on knowledge management. Knowledge management has been started somewhere in the 90s. Actually, I teach knowledge management in one of the business schools in Bombay, known as Jawaharlal Bajaj, to the MBA students there. And Mumbai University still carries it to their syllabus. And when I was teaching there, I thought it was irrelevant, but now the cloud is again relaunched knowledge management, right? So knowledge management, you know the pyramid, right? There is data, there is information. From there is knowledge, and finally comes wisdom at the top of the pyramid, right? One of the challenges for corporates to do this was that people would not put the information on the web, and we will talk about how this is gone. Knowledge management basically comes from the father of management, Peter Drucker, who said the basic economic resource is no longer capital, nor natural resources, nor labor. It will be and only be knowledge. Okay? And this is where the whole knowledge management revolution started. And in that, technology was one of the enablers. And what are the challenges for making that happen was people would not be willing to share information. And that is a huge challenge even with us. How many of you share your notes with your friends in college? Very few of us, right? And putting that knowledge for other people to share also is a challenge, right? No matter how powerful the knowledge management solution was, people would not go and populate it, right? Even for the government has tons of knowledge, but to put it in a central portal where everybody sees is a huge challenge for them, okay? The task of capturing, it's all there in files, but nobody can read those files, right? They're physical. Right? That's why the government of India is investing, even state governments are investing a lot of money on e-government so that all that knowledge is captured in the central portal. Okay? So how to overcome this challenge? So the cloud computing allows this. Okay? Because the cloud computing gives you a software ready to use, start populating and your knowledge management is off the ground and people just start thinking. How did this happen? How did the companies release it? How many of you all have problems putting your personal data on Facebook? Anybody here has a problem? What? How do you know anything about you if you don't put anything about yourself?
Sir, even
Gayatri madam found everything about me from LinkedIn actually, even before I sent her the profile. You know, everything on me is on LinkedIn. She found it from there, and actually the profile you read is from there, not what I gave. Okay? So the important thing is I have to sell myself, so I have to put it. So there is a measure of what you put, what you don't. Okay?
Yes.
So I think that's one of the Web 2 is one of the most powerful knowledge management tools ever. Right? I have connected to people right across the world. I get business opportunities on LinkedIn. You know, and the world has changed. Please go and explore it. You can't be like a tortoise in his shell. You have to open up. Otherwise, how will people know you exist? Nobody will know you exist, right? So the Web 2 changed that. People were willing to put their personal data on Facebook. They were willing to put their personal data on LinkedIn. So what did Salesforce do? Salesforce came across and said they mapped Facebook to their solution, and that is how knowledge management started happening in many corporations today. Then people are willing to share through Facebook. So there was no training, nothing, everybody knew how to use Facebook. So this is one of the best examples of knowledge management, right? Because people use Facebook. One of our ministers lost his job on Twitter. He tweeted something, another person also started tweeting, a lot of people tweeted, right? LinkedIn, these are three main things, Facebook, Twitter and LinkedIn. If tomorrow if you want to be in politics, you better be in these three, please. Or you want to be in business, you want to be in any public office, you have to be there. There is no way you cannot. You have to Twitter something. Actually this morning I didn't have time, otherwise I would have put today's talk on my Twitter. Then 350 people worldwide would have seen that I'm talking at an institute. Right? So I broadcast it for you, I broadcast it for myself. Very easy to do, just a keyboard away. So all this runs on the cloud. Okay? That's also you have to remember. So today's cloud computing are beginning to untangle these issues. Okay? So there is no investment now to do a cloud computing solution. Right? So these things just plug into your salesforce.com or any of the solutions available. I'll talk about those two solutions. One is salesforce.com, one is known as Chatter capability. So everybody chatters. If anybody has an idea, they just put it on Chatter. Maybe even in college you should start using all this. You know, it will make a lot of sense so that this is how corporates are working today. Right? So then you could use the Facebook motif and then you are ahead. Right? And Facebook, nobody, even I as IT or even if I was one, I could not make such a beautiful thing like Facebook. Right? Facebook keeps on getting innovative. I think I've been in Facebook for about 3 years now. From the first, I don't even remember what the first Facebook looked like. Every month or every 2 months, the look, feel, everything changes in Facebook, right?